Welcome to Your Family Dog, the podcast where we celebrate the special bond between families and their canine companions. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, considering bringing a furry friend into your family, this show is for you. Each episode, we dive into topics that matter: training tips, health advice, the newest research, heartwarming stories, and expert interviews, both canine and human. Our goal is helping families and dogs grow up together, one episode at a time. Thanks for joining us. I could not be more excited about today's episode. Today, we're talking with Kathy Callahan, a new friend, and Helen St. Pierre, a friend I've known for a long time who is a dream. And they have co-written a book called Old Dog, New Dog, a guide to supporting your aging best friend and welcoming a new one. I'm so stoked, and I hope that you enjoy the conversation as much as I do. So, welcome to the Family Dog Podcast. I'm so glad to have Helen back because I need me some Helen all the time. And I'm stoked to meet Kathy Callahan. So, each of you take a couple of minutes and talk about what you do.
Kathy, you go. We'll start with the life spectrum. You do the beginning,
Okay.
I do the end.
All right. So, I am a dog trainer, and my specialty has become puppies. And it started because we also foster on the side. So I take in puppies who have landed in shelters, and then it turned into taking in pregnant dogs who landed in shelters or nursing moms who landed in shelters. And what that does is it very much centers you in that incredible moment where puppies are coming into this world and learning stuff. So I sit around in my house and stare at these baby puppies as they come into the world, and their ears open and their eyes open, and they sniff stuff and they start to figure out what's around them. And so what that does is it really centers you in their point of view because you are lying there with them. And so that has really influenced my feeling about puppyhood and emphasized the really dramatic transition from that very dog-centered world of 2 months or more, where they are sitting around with their litter mates and their mom, wrestling and chewing and digging, never ever alone, always snuggled up, sniffing. Suddenly, one day, some human comes, plucks them from the pile, super excited, picks them up. You're going to come live with us. And then sometimes that's a super sad thing for the puppy. And what I'm trying to do is help people understand the perspective of the puppy so that that transition into planet human can be wonderful and joyful for the puppy, in addition to being a wonderful, exciting thing for you too. Because the better you understand that little puppy's point of view, the more you can be able to meet those needs pretty easily and then begin to introduce planet human. But the way we tend to do it is we pop them into our little world and we start saying no digging, no jumping, no biting. And that's all they knew before. So it's very complicated for them. So my whole mission is to help humans understand, hang on, give it a sec. Let's think about what this puppy's thinking and feeling. And let's meet him where he is so that we can all have some fun together. Puppyhood should be fun. And a lot of the time for humans, it's overwhelming. And I want to kind of bring the joy back to that whole area.
It's amazing to me. So I'm second generation. My parents have been breeding and showing dogs since 1979. So growing up with litters of puppies and watching that progression is just a natural and normal part. And one of the things I will say is, like, every single puppy class, I find myself going, oh my goodness, look how tired he is. Right. And then we wonder why the puppy is a maniac. And it's like, right. So your puppy doesn't have a circadian rhythm. Like, you're trying to wear out a puppy that's so tired he can't remember his name. And that doesn't work very well for puppies or kids. All right, Helen, hit us. Hit us in the feels.
Well, I'm Helen, and I have No Monkey Business dog training here in Concord, New Hampshire. So I have been working with animals for like over 23 years now, which is insane when I say that number out loud. But I'm also
wait till it gets bigger.
and I'm also the founder of Old Dogs Go to Helen. So I have a senior and hospice nonprofit sanctuary right here on my home property, which is in Epsom, so a few minutes away from my main facility. And we take in dying, disabled, special needs animals of all kinds. Started with dogs, but now we do cats and parrots and goats and horses and you name it. And I literally my whole life now revolves around quality of life as well as quality of death, really helping people understand and that giving a good life also means giving a good death. So
Yeah.
Kathy and I met together when we were both speaking at the LEGS conference in 2024. It was 2024, right? It was the fall.
Might have been 23. Was it 24?
Maybe it was 23. I don't know.
Recently, sort of recently, we were both speaking at Kim Brophy's conference.
Yes. And Kathy was speaking on puppies and I was speaking on oldies. And our talks, although were, obviously generated towards two very different pieces of parts of life, were parallel in the way that we, our philosophy in aiding these dogs, no matter what phase of life they were, to really be understood better and make things easier. And I think it was the coffee break after Kathy's talk that I tackled her and said, we really need to write this book because how many times do we get questions of people that I have a senior dog, I'd like to get a puppy. And that's it. That's kind of how it was born. And Kathy is wonderful in that we bond over picking up poop. I mean, Kathy does poop picking up
right.
With puppies.
Like I don't feel fulfilled if I don't get to mop and clean up and poop every day.
And that's me with the oldies. So
it's a specialty.
Class. And it's funny because people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Are you kidding? Like I have a mop. It's a concrete floor. We're good." Like
I only apologize if it's your poop. Don't apologize if it's your dog's.
Right.
I mean,
we clean. It's what we do. Like
it's what we do.
It's probably why my house is a mess because I clean at the store all the time.
Right.
So I love this idea, and I also love that in both of your cases, this learning has been very organic, right? That it isn't that you went and read a bunch of research studies, though I'm assured that both of you do. It really came down to this is what I'm up to my eyeballs in, and I'm going to learn everything I can. And I would say, Kathy, in particular, I think that perspective of having a female that's getting ready to deliver and then nursing and how disoriented they are and they're doing the best they can and how really important that first learning is magic. It's something that I think makes a trainer even better at what they do when they understand all of those processes. And most trainers don't get that education the same way most vets don't get that education.
That's exactly right. And I mean, I feel incredibly lucky to have this inside track to learning. And you're so right that this is another thing that unites Helen and I, because we both are in the trenches all the time with the dogs.
Yes.
We aren't sitting around. We do study too. We do read the books. We go to the conferences. We listen. However, really, what has happened is over years and years and years and years, we have been bathing in dogs and just are breathing with them. I mean, I sleep with these litters, and you really learn things you cannot learn in a book, and you can't unlearn that. And I think that most normal humans come at the dog-human relationship from the perspective just of a human. And that's why our industry, the training industry, has generally been sort of about, what do you want out of this dog? How can I help you get what you want out of this dog? And it all is kind of very human oriented. And the thing is, it's not that successful when you do, or you're setting yourself, it's terribly difficult to make it work when that's all you're seeing. If instead you very naturally understand who this dog is it's very easy to start there. So for me, having a little, for most people, having a puppy around, they're like, it's a nightmare. I never want to do that again. Or for many people, it's overwhelming. They're chewing, they're biting, everything's hard, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't feel that way to me because I look at this little guy and I know what he's going to need to do today. And it is not that hard for me to set him up so that he gets to have his planet dog needs met. My book on puppies is called Welcoming Your Puppy from Planet Dog. And the point of it is to really drive home that idea that they're not little humans that you can expect to just fold into our weird little clean human life, you know? They are going to need to chew and dig and wrestle around, and the muddier, the better. And so once you sink into that, accept that, and decide this is pretty fun, actually, puppyhood is suddenly really so very much easier for you. So we're just trying to help other folks make that mindset shift. And it's really kind of easy. This is not brain surgery, but if we can get you to make that mindset shift, you are going to start making great decisions by your puppy. You aren't going to have these expectations that are, from a dog point of view, pretty ridiculous. And you're going to start thinking about what that, oh, duh, he needs to snuffle through that stream for a second. Oh, wait a sec, he has to go chew on that branch. That's cool. If I let him do that for 20 minutes, then we can come back inside and he's going to chill out while I have my Zoom meeting, But if instead, before meeting of those needs, we're like, place, go in your crate,
Walk on leash nicely.
I mean, no. So anyway. Sit.
And we've all done it. Like, okay, while we're picking, I will say, like, we've all caught ourselves going, oh, I'm doing the thing, right? Like, that's how we learn is we screw it up and we figure it out better and we screw it up a little bit better next time. I think a much more difficult thing is watching our dogs age. And most of us really just want to stick our head like an ostrich in the sand, although I guess ostriches don't actually do that. But humans do, where like we're just going to hold our dog at 10 forever and they're never, ever going to age because our hearts can't take it. And I have found myself saying to a lot of families with older dogs that their dogs will go through a tremendous amount of discomfort because we're not ready, because they do love us and they are our friends. And that this is often the hardest part. And so in looking at the book, Helen, I was so impressed with your weekly system check. I love it. And that it's not just about like, oh, do you have a new lump or bump? But what's your quality of life and what are you enjoying or not enjoying? And being curious about those changes that happen. Like, are you not wanting to eat as much because maybe you have a sore tooth, or maybe you have a sore jaw, or maybe your nose isn't working so great these days? So talk a little bit about kind of what that weekly check looks like.
Yeah. And I mean, just to circle back to what Kathy was saying is like, I have puppies. I love my oldies, but I need puppies because I need the freshness too. Like once you have dealt with senior dogs and death at the level and constant and consistency that I do, the new life and the youth and the dogs that can have that quality of life still go chew on that stick and all that stuff. It's very refreshing. And I think the problem, like you said, Tina, is we do get stuck with they're 10 or they've always been able to do this. Now they should, like, I don't want to see the rest of it. So the quality of life checklist for me was born out of a frustration in seeing a lot of quality of life checklists that were being given to people or advised to people that were on a number scale. So you would say, my dog was walking well today, 0 being not well and 5 being perfect and great. And you could choose a number in that. And then at the end of the quality of life test, you would round up all your numbers and you would add it up. And then at the bottom, it would say, if your dog is between this number and this number, they have a good quality of life. Your dog is between this number and this number, they have a good. And I was like, this is like a math test, first of all. And second of all, it doesn't really force anybody truly to go with their gut instinct of whether or not they're viewing or seeing what I classify as suffering. Okay. And so for me, it was, listen, we're just going to break this down into three things. Function, which is physical function. Is your dog physically functioning well? And that should a yes or no question. There is no, you know, well, it's like, is he walking or is he not able to walk? Is he able to eat or is he not really able to eat? What does that look like? And then does he have purpose and joy? And purpose and joy really brings that gut feeling home, because it's that, when was the last time I saw my dog truly rolling in the grass, right? Or truly enjoying him being alive, and asking ourselves those really pertinent questions, because you can't fudge that. With the quality of life checklist with numbers, you can fudge that a little. You can be like, oh, well, I'll put a 4 here today, because then that just scoots me over this to this area that I want to stay in. And I think we have to start having more of those really important internal dialogue questions of, what am I actually viewing? And I have to become uncomfortable or comfortable being uncomfortable that my dog is aging. And I think we need to do that across the board, even with ourselves aging or with our loved ones aging, or just about life in general, because we're so disconnected from it. But that's where that quality of life came from for me, was like, this really doesn't have to be that complex. It doesn't have to be a pass or fail test. You really have to start asking these very, very basic questions. And once you start asking those questions, you will be very hard for you to fudge the answers,
Well, it's interesting. Almost every single dog trainer has a puppy class, but I don't know anyone that has a preparing your elderly dog.
I think that is a beautiful point. And here's the thing. I think no one would come, because we're all in denial. But I'm telling you, and I don't even know if that should be a class in person. I think it should be a Zoom class, because some of our senior citizens are like, I don't really need to do that. But I really do believe people need help figuring out how to help make that golden stage golden for the dog. And I think sometimes it feels golden for the human, because the dog is no longer bugging you. Part of the reason I have so much business, I have a Puppy Pals play group that's over at my house, and it's almost always like the labs and stuff. And it's because the 4-month-old labs are jumping all over their people, mouthing their children, and they're like, oh my Lord, what have I done? So they send them to me, and then they get really happy here. But they're reaching out for professional help because their dog pushed them for it. If your senior dog is beautifully lying in the corner, leaving you alone to pursue your life, you're just possibly going to glance over there and be like, oh, good girl, and then move on. And what we are hoping, she's fine.
While she head presses in the corner.
No, exactly. And this is Helen writes so beautifully in this book, leading you to push yourself to consider more. Wait, hang on. How is she doing curled up there in the corner? Wait a second. It's been a little while before, she used to ask to go out and sit in the sun. Wait, why isn't she asking that anymore? And wait a minute, we had company over. Usually she chooses to be in the room with us. And this time she wasn't. Wait, what's different? And she just leads us to make sure to give more consideration to our beloved, dear old friends who absolutely deserve that from us, and who need more than us just kind of being relieved that they no longer bug us to work harder. And it can be incredibly rewarding when you do zero in and you do realize, wait, hang on, I think her hips feel a little touchy. We should have had her on meds. Great, let's have her on meds. Oh my gosh, she's a little bit more like herself now. Let's pay a little more attention. Anyway, I agree. The senior class.
All of that. Like, I think about it all the time, that nobody thinks anything about spending money on different equipment for our young puppies or our teenagers. But boy, you try to talk to someone about, okay, so your senior dog is getting a little incontinent. Let's talk about like a drop through crate, or let's talk about this, or let's talk about that. And they're like, well, I don't want to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, there's a part of my brain that goes, in another 2 years, you're going to be coming to me with a puppy and you're going to be excited to spend this money. And by the way, y'all, a bunch of it is the exact same equipment. Like the things that make house training a young puppy when you have a busy life, guess what? That's the same equipment we use for senior dogs for when we have a busy life and we don't want them to be in their own filth because they don't deserve that, right? I don't know. I'm at an
Yeah,
age where
no,
if I sneeze, I have to be careful. So maybe
I know.
I'm more sensitive about it than others.
You'll hear me rant about this often, even if I go to the store, that like we have all these they're called puppy pads, puppy pee pads. And
Right.
I never recommend, quite frankly, very rarely do I recommend pee pads for puppies. It's
Me
like
neither.
only as an
Right.
Me neither.
There's a
emergency,
lot of fabric in your house.
right, like, only as an emergency do we use
Yeah.
pee pads for, like, freezing cold weather down in the basement, but I use pee pads literally every day, and I'm recommending them constantly to senior dogs, but we don't label them as that still, and
Right.
we don't have any area. There's aisles and aisles of puppy stuff. If you go to the interactive toy area, there's literally whole sections specifically for the puppies, but there's very rarely anything specifically for the end of life. And I think what that really boils down to, though, again, is our culture and our relationship with death and end of life. It's
I
as
agree.
soon as we see it or we even think about seniorhood, death is instantly just brought into the picture and we just don't want to deal with it. And there, in many ways, is not money making in that piece for us as an industry in terms of a pet industry. There's not a lot. I think there is, but the general CEOs, I'm sure, of a lot of these companies are like, yeah, we don't want to market to people with senior dogs because that's ending. We want to get the people with the new puppies.
Well, I don't know. Surely there's enough room in the universe for both,
Yes.
right? I
But
mean, I purchase things for my grandchildren and my grandmother at the same time. And somehow that did not make my heart sad, right? Um, so specifically, I think all three of us have had customers who become, friends who have a senior dog. Maybe their dog is not 15, but 12. And we think to ourselves, our hearts start to hurt a little bit because we see a little bit of frosting on a muzzle and we see eyes that are a little bit cloudier. And lots of us think to ourselves, well, that love is going to have somewhere to go when this dog isn't here anymore. I'm going to have a dog-shaped hole in my heart. And so we try to fill that early with often thinking about a puppy because we loosely believe like a puppy is healthy and going to live a long life. News, puppies are not born with an expiration date. I have lost dogs who appeared completely healthy until bone cancer showed up at 5. Um, I have had young dogs pass away. I have had old dogs pass away from cancer. Like it's not just an old disease. So I know a lot of times when a family's talking to me about adding another dog to the household with a senior dog, that can sometimes be fascinating. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's awful, right? So how do we help families navigate these kinds of decisions?
So Helen and I, we have our answer to that to everyone is a very helpful, it depends. So
That
the
the answer
truth
to
is what
everything?
we have seen, we see this scenario all the time. And as you note, it can go beautifully and it can actually go in a way that the people end up realizing at some point, oh no, I am not meeting the needs of either
what
my
have I
beloved
done?
old friend. Yeah, and this puppy like maybe some so what can happen is exactly the vision is that you get this puppy in and it kind of brightens up your senior, they become friends, they just even though you have two dog beds next to each other, they choose to cuddle in the same one, and the little one learns to sit because the big one was sitting, and it's all beautiful, beautiful. And much of that can absolutely be true. I have 1,000 examples of that being absolutely true, and it's terrific when it happens. And when it does, boy, does it ease the suffering for everybody for the inevitable loss later, because you do feel like this new pup ends up carrying with a bit of that old friend of yours. So it's a beautiful thing when it works. Sometimes, though, this whole transition can be a little bit unexpected. And sometimes it can, even though it looked good on paper, we find out that this senior, for whatever reason, does not want to be around a puppy ever. And that this is just, what have you done? Maybe he always used to play well with dogs on the block, but it's totally different to have someone in his house, totally different to have it be a puppy. So that just means we have to step up. And I don't, when we talk about what the challenges are, we don't want everyone to decide, oh, that sounds too scary, I don't want to do it. We just want you to understand it could happen. And here are your workarounds. So we have chapters, we have all sorts of suggestions for you about what the workarounds are. So, and it just might mean a little extra effort on your part. It's going to be more anticipation, more thinking through your day, more thinking about what management tools you have, more thinking about what's your village, like who lives in your household, how can you divvy up stuff? Can hubby take the puppy out for half an hour to help him gather data, looking at the outside world while your teenage kid cuddles with your old dog on the couch, because that's really all they need. It's anticipating, thinking through what are your resources, and understanding that for a certain period of time, if it's going to be a day, a week, a month, a year, while this new family unit is getting its legs under it, everybody's going to have to pitch in a little bit, and some other things are going to be put on the back burner. So that's really our message is, we love it when you do the overlap. We love the idea of the puppy coming in, but there's nothing actually scarier than you not really giving it much thought and pulling in a puppy without understanding what the possible implications are for your older dog, this may be the last thing he wants. But if you consider it enough, it can be an absolutely beautiful experience. And it just might mean, you might be super lucky. You also might need to just step up a little bit more than you had anticipated. So.
Yeah, I mean that it's exactly what Kathy is saying. I think that it depends goes for so many people say, is it a good idea? Well, it depends. I mean, if you have a 16-year-old blind and deaf, Maltese, and you want to get a brand new 8-week-old golden retriever, that's going to be a completely different kind of conversation with if you have a 12-year-old golden retriever and you're getting it, that loves everybody and doesn't have any other real disabilities, maybe some mild arthritis, and you're getting an 8-week. Those are going to be two completely different conversations, completely different, ways of managing this to go well or not well. And again, though, you can have it look so good on paper and it just is a nightmare. And then we've had cases where people, and I've gone, oh my God, please don't get a puppy. And they do it anyway. And I'm like, all right, I'll help you. And it goes fantastically well. So
Right.
our whole goal with this book was to have something where if somebody called us in the afternoon and said, hi, I have a senior dog and I went out this weekend and I brought home a puppy and I don't know what I'm doing. We could be like, hey, there's this book, buy this,
Got you.
get in an afternoon, right? And I'll see you next week for a consult. But at least until then, you've got all of these options in print ahead of you that won't take you 12 hours to read or get through. And you can dog ear that page. And that was the whole point of this, so that under any circumstances, good or bad, you have the resources to help.
Well, and I mean, the last puppy that our household raised, my Jack Russell was 13. My sainted puppy raising dog was 13. He was like sweetness and light. And there was a moment that he looked at me and went, oh, this one's staying. This one is not
Right.
boarding.
Yeah.
This one's staying.
Right.
And then it was this look at me like, really? We couldn't have done this 3 years ago?
Right. Right.
Now, did they end up absolutely adoring one another? Yes. But I realized, like, okay, not fair to let the 10-week-old potcake puppy jump up and down on the 13-year-old Jack Russell Terrier with spinal stenosis like he's a trampoline, right? Like we did a lot of management. We did a lot of the good news is the puppy and the old dog are going to sleep about the same amount of time. So
Right.
we can like divide and conquer and realizing that amazing relationships are not built in 30 seconds when we walk in the door with the new puppy, right?
No.
That it's built on them reading one another and learning one another and all of those pieces too. And that the same skill set applied to both from the human perspective, right? Reading the tea leaves about bowel and bladder, right? Understanding that look that says, oh, that stool's getting loose. Are we going to have the cha-chas? Like, what have we got going on here? Right? Like all the reading of the tea leaves that we do with a puppy, we also do with a senior dog.
Well, and I thought you were gonna say in reading the body language, because reading that body language along with the tea leaves, those skills that you have for both ends of the dogs, that's what's gonna help you support that relationship.
Yeah. I think one thing that Kathy and I were very adamant about and in our conversations was the mistake. Well, first off, if you go on any social media now and you watch reels, and there's always going to be some bringing in the new baby brother or sister for the dog, right? Like, and a reel is only 90 seconds long. And so a lot of these things, they'll show this puppy coming in a box in the living room, coming out, the other dog wagging its tail. And they have this very quick progression where they're snuggling on the couch and they're best friends. And that's what people have in their mind. And Kathy and I were very adamant about not letting people still continue to believe that the old dog should be raising the puppy for you. Like you've
Right.
got to be watching and giving plenty of breaks. I mean, so from a personal perspective, it was like when my mom moved in on hospice and was, and I have a 5-year-old in the house at the same time. I wasn't like, hey, mom, I'm going to go outside. Can you watch my 5-year-old? And,
Right.
but I mean, like, that's what
Hey,
people,
this is the vacation I've been looking for. Let me
right?
check out.
Right.
Jake and I are going to the beach. You take care of the kids
Bye.
for 2 weeks.
Right. Bye. Bye. So this is and what often does happen is that people do have that weird thing. I got you a puppy. Have fun.
Yes.
You saying that to your older dog. Here, terrific. Here's my gift for you. And, the older dog, whether it's just an adult dog or a full-on senior, is like, why would I want to babysit the weird toddler? Like this thing is rude and is always all over me, has no manners. And if you are going to let me babysit the toddler, then let me babysit the toddler, which means I need to be able to do things that you don't like growl and snap a little bit.
Yes.
And
Correct,
what
right.
often and correct and what
Set
often
some
happens is
boundaries
that
because they don't have thumbs. They can't write a letter to an
no,
attorney and say, could I
no,
take out a
no.
restraining order?
No. And so what I see a lot, the mistake I see when I come into a house that first few weeks when people are like, oh, this doesn't seem to be going right, is I'll see a bit of an interaction between the puppy and the older dog. And the older dog does almost nothing, but does a little bit of a rrr. And then the mom starts going, Rover, be nice. Hey, Rover, be nice. And so suddenly, not only does the older dog have to put up with the weird toddler that has just shown up, but now mom is mad at him all the time. Wait, why is mom suddenly mad at him all the time? So now he associates the weird toddler with suddenly being in trouble all the time. That is not how you're going to set this friendship up to flourish. So instead, unfortunately, you have to entertain that toddler yourself. And you need to set it up so that when your senior dog does have a chance to hang out with the toddler, you are on it and you are ready to pull that toddler away and distract and amuse in a way that allows them to be in the space together, kind of observing each other, getting comfortable with each other. When we had at one puppy that we added to our house, we had a 13-and-a-half-year-old golden or yellow lab who was, and truly in her twilight. We got a new Bernese Mountain Dog, and in the middle was a Belgian Malinois who was 5. She was the total key to that scenario. So because she was so ready to be the nanny and she wanted a job, she's a Malinois. She's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll be up at dawn. So she seriously took this puppy and entertained him completely. And she was willing to take on that job. She was not at all worried about it. Wasn't testy. So we watched that. And because of that, then finally the burner puppy is tired and ready to come in. And he knew that this is when he toddles over to the 13-year-old Piper, who is curled under the kitchen table. They bonded through rest. So, the other two, Zoe
But the puppy
and Eli,
was exhausted by the Malinois, who was now
absolutely.
out checking the fence for the North 40 and re-roofing the house.
No, exactly. Truly, and this is why it worked for everyone, because the Malinois had needed a job. She was a handful. And I didn't realize that that was going to actually help that situation as well. Anyway, so the point is that we don't want to put too much stress on an older dog who does not want it. Maybe your older dog is going to rise to that occasion and surprise you and kind of love playing with the puppy, but that older dog needs to have an escape route 100% of the time. That puppy is never trapped. That older dog is never, ever trapped with the puppy every single time. And that might simply be that the older dog can jump up on the couch when the puppy is too little, and that's your escape route right there. Or it's some kind of a bench situation, gate situation that maybe the older dog can navigate and the puppy can't yet. Or it's simply that you are there watching all the time. So,
well, and also remembering that it may be that the older dog can't get on the sofa and that getting up and moving away from the puppy might
absolutely.
hurt. And so then we're
Absolutely.
building a negative association that way. So I do think checking the tires, right? An excellent vet check before you bring that puppy home, where we are clearly evaluating, like, this is going to be expensive vet appointment, y'all. Like, we're going to do a urinalysis. We're going to do big time senior blood work. We're going to do radiographs. We're going to check those teeth. We're going to really be on a treasure hunt to find any discomfort this adult dog has, so that we aren't accidentally pushing a dog into a crisis or asking an adult dog, just get up and move away when the puppy comes too close to you. And that maybe there's some spinal stenosis and that doesn't feel so good anymore. So making sure that we've got those things managed, even though it's an uncomfortable lesson, right? It can be uncomfortable. It's absolutely worthwhile to really do a full system check on that senior dog so that you make sure that what we're doing is fair.
Yeah, you'll have sometimes senior dogs that really love the puppy and they want to play, but the next day they're super sore.
Sure.
And that's you will never hear me talk about not treating for pain. I am always proactively saying, I don't care. Well, he looks fine. I don't care. Put him on pain. I look fine right now. You have no idea how many Advil I need to get through a day. And if I don't take the Advil, will I still function throughout the day? Yes, but that doesn't mean internally I'm not miserable.
You're going to
So
be crankier too, more willing to
exactly.
bite someone.
Right. So proactively going on a pain management trial with the vet, having that stuff on hand for the next day is huge. And we don't have to be, it's not cheating. It's not expediting anything. And it goes back to my talks about quality of life versus quantity. I would much rather have my dog on an NSAID or a pain management that, potentially might shorten his life of his liver by 6 months than give him a whole extra year with chronic arthritis and pain because he wasn't on the NSAIDs. Like, that's just how I view the risks and the benefits all the time. And I think those are conversations that need to be had a lot more just in terms of our senior animals in general.
You can see an amazing turnaround in terms of an older dog's behavior with a puppy if you see a pain med on board and then you realize, oh my gosh, that was about that dog feeling insecure, feeling like he wasn't going to be able to leap away from the puppy's teeth quickly enough, or that if the puppy jumped on him on the wrong way, it was really going to hurt. And so that's such a good point, is to get that vet check on board, think about pain management. That can play a big role in easing this transition.
Yeah.
And one thing, I have talked to families where that senior dog is maybe in that more 14, 15, we already have health stuff range, but they're not ready, right? And they have a hole in their heart, and I get it. And a lot of times for those people, we're going to find a little bit older dog, maybe a 5-year-old who is an adult. We already know what we're getting. The dog's already going to be a little more structured in the household. And when the time comes that the 5-year-old is the only one there, then maybe adding a puppy that it honors everybody. Like, if your senior dog never has ever really wanted to be a sibling to another dog, please don't get them a puppy. Please don't. Like, I I sometimes, and maybe this sounds mean, but I think our loyalty should be to our old friend. There will be other puppies. Like, and I get it. I do. My heart, like right now, I am doing everything I can to not go get a silken windhound puppy. I get it. Like every day I say to Chris, put him in the car, Bob. We're going to go get this puppy. Like, stop showing me pictures of these amazing puppies. I want one. But I have a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 4-year-old. I do not need a silken windhound puppy today. We need a silken windhound puppy maybe in 5 years. I get it, right? I'm right there with you. My heart wants what my heart wants too. So, am I missing something? Are there some other things that are options that people could do, like maybe fostering, or is that really hard on that senior dog too?
So I think, again, this comes down to bandwidth. What Helen and I talk about all the time is that there aren't any, from our point of view, there are very few true red flags, true things that are absolutely not, you shouldn't get the puppy, because people have astounded us time and time again at their ability to rise to the occasion, make the time, put in the effort, pull in their neighbors, pull in the lady who lives across the street whose dog just died and is sad and who would love to pitch in for 6 months, pull in the homeschool family who's going to use it for an animal care badge. Like, you, it's about bandwidth. But yes, if you are a normal person, normal family, normal obligations, and you've got jobs and school and there's a lot happening, and your oldie is really, really, really fading and has never liked other dogs and has never wanted that kind of company, boy, you would have to do quite a lot to set it up so that this doesn't feel sad for that oldie. But I still think that you can. I think that if you have some circumstances, maybe there's something really sad happening in your family and you really need to have a puppy coming in, maybe someone's ill, maybe you need this, then I would say you can make that work. But think about what's most important to your oldie. What kind of oldie is this? What are the very favorite things for this oldie? Is it hangout time with dad? Is it special chewing time next to mom? Like, what are the things that oldie would be devastated if she lost? And make sure that those things stay in place while you kind of do backflips to make the puppy situation work. So it's,
I
it's a
think
very individual kind of thing.
Yeah, and there are certain circumstances where if you have a dog that a senior dog that maybe doesn't like other dogs, or has never really loved other dogs, is dog social, but now is selective and cranky and old, um, but you're revolving around them. Like, there is a huge piece of a lot of people where this is their first dog or their heart dog or whatever, and they don't want to get a puppy because they don't want to upset the other dog, but they really do want a puppy because they don't want. And I'll say to them, like, sometimes that's okay because the senior dog is like, oh, thank God, go play with the puppy so I can get some rest, please. Like, I would like to be taken off our list of priorities for the day. And I think that that's a really healing piece for some people too, is that like, go focus on this puppy, do all those things. It doesn't necessarily mean you're neglecting your old dog if your old dog wants and needs that rest. And sometimes that is also um that's the last piece for the old dog to feel that they can leave. Sometimes that puppy coming is where that old dog goes, okay, they're all set. I can start transitioning and going into my next step now. And I've experienced that personally with my own dogs. I've experienced it many times with clients. And I think it's something that really isn't talked about very often, but it's a relief for some dogs to have something else come in. So I think that there's, again, all of this is, it depends. But you'll never hear me tell people not to get a puppy. Tina, you should just get that puppy and enjoy it.
I don't know that we would enjoy it at this stage.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Right.
I think it's going to be really great in a few years. But does my heart want? I mean, oh my goodness. We went to a meetup and I would have just like grabbed armloads
The pockets. Yeah, just putting it in
of
the pockets.
silkins. Well, so you'll laugh, Helen. I always wanted a deer hound. So when you got yours, I was like, I'm going to watch from over here. Right. So when the silkins started being kind of an interesting thing, I was like, okay, I'm curious. Like, what's that like? And we went to a meetup and it was, so here, ladies, the dog traders are going to understand this. 17 intact male dogs between the ages of 7 years and 7 months, no humping, no resource guarding, no one hunting anyone else, no extra rough play. Like everyone was lovely. There was an elderly, like, multi-poo thing that was like, I don't know. She's like, hi, I'm 167 years old. My name is Sunny and I'm not playing with you. Not that she was antagonistic or ugly, but like the puppies, the 7-month-old puppies were like, we love you. Let us play kissy face and see if we can get you to play. And she would just stop and look at them and show them her business card that says, hi, I'm Sunny. I'm not playing with you. And the silken baby would go, and then climb up into some random stranger's lap, cuddle, and need consoling for like 20 minutes. And I was
Right.
like, I'm going to the car with this puppy. Like,
Right.
this puppy is going home with me. You will get this puppy out of my cold, dead fingers.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going to need a puppy.
So I'm also going to say, though, that I have seen this in some of my fosters and they are, boy, are they the mixiest of mixy dogs when I take in these shelter dogs. So my vet was pondering adopting one of our litters 2 years ago. And she came by and she said, I'm going to bring Jail Dog is this little dog's name. Jail Dog was 15, blind, deaf. And I'm going to bring Jail Dog and see how it goes. And I'm like, well, I don't
Badly?
think that's going to go
It's going to go
well.
badly?
But she's just, here's the thing. I love her. She's so smart. I respect her so much. She knows
Right.
dogs. I was like, okay.
Okay.
So and sure enough, I brought this puppy out and I know this puppy. So this puppy was born on my couch. I know this dog. I know she's full of beans. She comes out, takes one look at Jail Dog, and decides she's going to gently follow Jail Dog around. And then she's going to let Jail Dog sniff her all over, and then she'll sit down for What? Who are you? Anyway, my point being, we're back to it depends because you really don't know. Every now and then, puppies can get with a program, take one look at an oldie and just go, okay, this dog is not going to frolic with me in that particular way. How can I enjoy this dog? She rose to the occasion. I don't know how she did that, but she was absolutely fantastic. And that little...
Yeah.
But just amazing.
Like Well, it's like
Yeah.
those big puppies that there's a small puppy in a puppy class and there's that one big puppy. It's like, "Oh, hi. What if I just lay down to play?" And
Right.
nobody taught them that. They just have
Nope.
that built-in
Absolutely.
empathy, and there's absolutely a lot of that in, that. And I don't know if dogs are necessarily given the opportunity to and we don't get to really teach it, but it happens all the time, Kathy. You're completely
All the
right.
time. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
We
beautiful.
have right now, we have a Old English Mastiff, a big English Mastiff puppy that's like 8 months old in class. We've had her since 10 weeks because we knew like we got to get training started right away. And she has taught every single fearful puppy how to dog.
Yeah.
She
Yep.
has helped them build confidence. She now, when the boxer puppy is like, I'm ready to throw down and do gladiatorial combat, she's like, bring it. But she also will lay down and let the 2-pound Chihuahua puppy drag her around by her lip. And she's like, look how cute he is. He's the cutest. I'm going to go bleed
Right.
later. Right. Like she
Right.
just has infinite patience with them.
Yep.
And
I think
she's
a lot of
really funny
guardian
too.
breeds are like that too. Guardian breeds
I think
tend to
so
have
too.
this really beautiful empath in them for tolerance levels for all different.
Absolutely
Malarkey.
right. I have a burner and a Pierre puppy right now in my 4.5 month gang. And I feel like I don't even have to come to work
Yeah.
because those two just do it. They meet
Mhm.
everybody where they are. They smooth it out. They bop in, do. They distract. They pull over. They
Yep.
anytime things seem to be about to be get over aroused. Oop, there they are. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to see. It
But it's a
really is.
great
With
example of like it depends, so
yes.
with the Saint Bernard puppy, people are like, "Well, Helen, you have some dachshunds, doxy puppies, and you're getting a Saint Bernard. Like, that's not going to go well." I'm like, actually, it's beautiful because it's not like I went and got a high drive working line German Shepherd puppy with 3 dachshunds. It's a completely different. So yes, there are things on paper that can look absolutely terrible, and they are terrible. Like that's not a good idea. But that all goes
You
back
don't want a Malindoodle?
exactly. Right. Exactly. Like that's where even proactively coaching clients on you have a senior dog and you'd like to get a puppy, let's talk about what kind of puppy would
Right.
fit best in this. And if you do want a big dog, I mean, I'm completely fine with saying you want a big dog. Well, maybe we need to lean more into the guardian breeds. If you've got some senior smaller dogs, then you want to lean into the retrievers or even the herding
Right.
breed, which might
Like a
just
Leon Burger
right?
or right.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
honestly the Dobes.
Yeah,
I mean, my Doberman, as much as he is a giant doofus, he can play with a 4-pound puppy and he's not going to hurt him
yeah,
because he's really careful around them. He's like, oh, I could squish this one. Right. And he'll lay down and he will let them win playing tug.
right.
He's 90
Yeah, I think
pounds
that
of
that's a lot of that
goofball.
is genetic and what we created some of that purpose for. Those working breeds, those guardian breeds have a lot more flexibility and adaptive behaviors versus some of our dogs that we bred for like that, even whether it's conflict or herding or moving something, they're going to struggle a little bit more with like holding back and regulating
Yeah.
themselves than other breeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to watch. And I've been like, I'm so glad Holly's in class all the time because she just does such a great job. And so when someone says to me, like, oh, our bull terrier puppy's a little afraid of other dogs, I'm like, hold on, let me call Holly's owners. Like, we're gonna have
Yes.
Holly come play with him
Yes.
because she's gonna win him over. And frankly, she's gonna want to lay down to play anyway. So having her play with the dachshund puppy is perfect because the doxy's gonna get to jump all over her and act like she's, Mount Holly. And she gets to lay down and roll around on the cold concrete, which is where she wants to be anyway, because it's hot. Where in Georgia, it's hot. So, what are some things that people miss with their, like Helen, what would you say is the most missed in our senior dogs? I mean, I know I have my list, but I'm wondering what your list is.
Like missed in terms of as they're aging?
Yeah.
What
Like,
people
what
not
are
spot.
people not noticing that is a little thing that if they noticed it earlier, we might get a better outcome or better quality of life or life expectancy?
I mean, I think any shift, we focus so much on function, right? So we're like, well, he's still cleaning his bowl every day and he's still going to the bathroom just fine. Like that we focus on the function. Usually alarm bells don't ring until we see function starting to drop off. Like, oh, every time he gets up from his bed is wet now from incontinence or anything like that. That's when we usually are calling. For me, it's any drop in purpose and joy. Usually during senior, especially as we get into transitioning and dogs starting to get closer to the end of their life, you'll see purpose drop off in terms of not digging holes as readily, not actively doing some of the things. It's like I was giving my good death course this past week, and I have the public take this course, and this woman after the class messaged me and she was like, Helen, I always thought it's been so nice for the last 6 months that my dog is no longer barking at the mailman anymore because it's finally quiet. She's like, but now I'm realizing that like his purpose has dropped off. Like that's a thing for me that I was just like, yay, he's not doing these things anymore. But actually the less they are dogging, the more concerned I get. I love it when senior dogs are still stealing stuff off counters. I love it when they are still shredding things. The more they're dogging, the better. So I like to tell people, like, as soon as you start to see purpose and joy drop off, that is where you start to really track things. That might mean that you just need to put them on a pain med and they're right back up to doing those things. But it also could mean that they're starting to transition into that real end of life phase.
I think another thing that people don't notice sometimes is, wait, come to think of it, why doesn't he ever come in the family room anymore? Or wait a second, why isn't he joining us in the blah, blah, blah? And it may be because the route to that room is the slippery hardwood floor that he used to be able to navigate just fine, and now he really can't navigate anymore. Um, or because there's one stair and he can't do the stair. And I think we tend to just miss that we're just not noticing because he's not standing there barking, saying, "Where are you guys?" He's just not coming along.
Just doesn't do it.
Doesn't do it. So any kind of change, if they are not acting the way they used to act, take a second to wonder why and see if there's an environmental adjustment like easy little rubber-backed rugs or stair treads that you can add in that are actually going to totally change the quality of life for that dog for a while.
Dr. Busby's toe grips,
Right.
or making sure we're treating that we're trimming up that hair on the bottom of their feet and that their toenails are nice and short so that they're not clacking everywhere they walk and that they're not holding tension in their feet. A lot of times I think it's visual, right? If you turn a bright LED light on, all of a sudden the dog's like, oh, that's where the stairs are. I wonder where those had gone, right? I have a funny story. All of my dogs have always rung a bell to ask to go outside until my Jack Russell lost his hearing. And then he refused to ring the bell to ask to go outside because the bell was broken.
Oh, baby.
And I was like, my love, it's not the bell.
Oh, sweet.
It's the ears.
Yeah. Why would I ring this?
He's like, why would I ring the bell? It doesn't
stupid
work.
Now. Yeah, it's broken.
The stupid bell.
Broken.
Right? Maybe the Doberman will do it. Right? Things like, I mean, I will say, like a bunch of the food dispensing toys that I use with young puppies, I also use with my super senior dogs because the easier it is, the better. Right? Like, because I have had my senior dogs forget how to do toys that they always had as their favorites. That I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to switch which toys we're going to play with and we're going to make this easier again.
Preference is everything. Preference and that preference can shift. Things that, I enjoy now at my age, I didn't enjoy back then, and then that will shift as I get older. Like we all are going to go through preferences, and I think that gets really stuck. It's like, well, he's always loved these toys. well, he's older now, so he actually might need these things. Or we go back to trying something that he didn't like before, and now he might really like it again.
Yes. The big things I see are toenails, right? The dog never really loved having their toenails done, and the dog's getting older, and we're afraid we're going to hurt them. And now those toenails start getting longer and longer and longer, and they're getting more and more painful and more difficult to trim. And those are the dogs that I'm like, okay, let's come up with a plan. Like, we're going to work a little bit at a time, and we're just going to do like a little bit at a time. And let's talk to your vet about like, what can we do to make this easier? I will say today, our 10-year-old pot cake, who is not super willing to have veterinary care done, invasive handling is not his thing. And we work on it all the time. He is who he is. And we went in for our annual, and I said, you know what? He hasn't had like a really good going over in 8 years. So let's talk about this. Let's think about what we want to do. And so we made an appointment for the first, and we're probably going to knock him out a little bit and really give him a good once over. So if I look and his toenails are a little long, I'm taking my Dremel with me. And if his ears are dirty, we're going to clean those, because it's a lot of stuff that he doesn't love when we work on it. And I don't want our relationship to be based on having a disagreement. So it's worth now, when he's only 10, to really take a good look at everything and see where we stand. And if he's due for a dental, we'll do a dental. And if we need to do this, we'll do this. But really kind of saying, okay, this is a difficult appointment to have. It's not easy on him. I don't love it. The vet doesn't like that he's worried. But from a compassionate standpoint, like, there's so many new meds and there's so many new options. We really can, we have more magic for helping them make all of it easier. Because like that puppy, every time they go to the vet, they're having, their temperature taken and their toenails cut, and they're getting, stabbed with needles, all of the things. It's a little bit like an alien abduction. Well, when our dogs are seniors, there's a lot of invasive medical stuff.
Yeah. And now you're right that there are more tools now. The gabapentin trazodone little 1-2 punch is now pretty standard, at least in where we are. What's interesting is it's standard for vets. It's not yet fully accepted by owners, from what I'm seeing, is that vets will say, hey, big, really good idea. Here's your stuff before your next appointment. Do a 10 p.m. and then 2 hours before you come. And then they will. So I know this because my daughter works at the vet. She's in vet school. And so the next time they bring their dog in, and they're like, do we have the meds on board? Oh, no, because I think he's fine. I think he's fine. It's like, oh, well, he wasn't fine last time. Super duper was not fine. And we're trying to make it easier on him and on us, frankly, and so it's a learning curve, I think, for the public to really understand that these meds are safe and it is a good idea. And it can be shocking. I will say that I can't remember which of our dogs it was that we did do the gabapentin trazodone 1-2 situation. And boy, definitely knocked out in the morning. And I did have that moment where I was like, wait, was that too much? And I think that, and it was in fact not too much. It was exactly the way they wanted him going in. But I think some education around that for the public, where this is really actually a very good idea for your dog, because it is going to lessen the trauma for your dog if he has a history of really not being okay at the vet. And this is going to make it easier for him and make it so that the vets are actually able to do all the things they want to do. And so that the vets, if you've got a big, very big, capable of doing some damaged dog that you've brought in and you're like, yeah, I didn't want to give him the meds. The vets are going to be a little stressed around him. And it's, what does that do? Right? So what does that do to the feeling of that appointment? What does that do to your dog's sense of whether there's something to be scared about here? So just if your vet is suggesting the meds, I'm just going to say, let's go with trusting the vets. They know what they're doing.
Because the dog is paying the price.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
The full cost is being borne by the dog. right?
True
So
story.
whether we're treating pain or whether we're treating anxiety, the dog is paying the price.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I will own that I was dogmatically anti-meds for a very, very long time, and I was wrong. And I will answer to my maker for that, right? And I'm not like, oh, trazodone for everyone. Like I'm not
No,
that girl either. But
no.
but when we can make all of this better, why wouldn't we?
Why would we not do that? Exactly. Exactly.
It's not a failure on the person. It's not a, it's
No.
the same with pain management for senior dogs or anything like that. This is not saying that you have failed or that you're incapable or that your dog is bad or anything like that. And I mean, the common theme here across this whole talk today has been proactive. We're just trying to be one step ahead of a catastrophe so that everybody has a good experience, most importantly, the dog. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for whatever helps. Again, whether it's pain or whether it is anxiety, because anxiety is very much painful and stress. And so the gabapentin traz is it, plus the pre-sedation stuff. Even when we talk about euthanasia and death, it's like, you always want that pre-sedation before you go through with the euthanasia because it makes a huge difference on everybody's quality of death. So, yeah, meds for all, especially me at the dentist or when I'm on a plane, whatever
Yep.
gets me through.
Yep. Absolutely.
Tina, this was so fun.
Well, I mean, maybe not talking about death and dying, but I love this. I think that, I mean, honestly, this is the stuff that families really want and need, right?
This,
Like,
absolutely. And this is the
it's
thing.
magic. It is the book that needed to be written.
I do think that people need to sit around the kitchen table and talk about this stuff. And one of the things that we do advise, as much as no one wants to talk about death, except Helen and I, we don't mind. We talk about death a lot, but normal humans have a little bit of a resistance to that. And what we really do want you to come away with is we hope today, while your dog is still healthy and running around in the house and being really fun, you will sit down around the table and go, hey, actually, at some point, we hope it is 30 years from now, this dog is going to be fading. And we need to talk as his people about how we're going to approach that. What are our feelings about euthanasia? What are our feelings about, quality of life? And how are we going to make these decisions? And let's get our act together, because if you don't do that, you're going to end up, the dog is going to pay the price, because it's going to be very uncomfortable, possibly a big emergency drive to a vet where he never has been before.
Dramatic.
And then while you are making you're calling your son who's at college, and you're calling your daughter who's asleep, and trying to figure out if everyone's okay. Should we do an intervention? And the vet's saying you have to decide right now. And then you spend $5,000. And then you realize, wait, if we had talked about this before, we would have realized that actually last Thursday, when we saw he was slowing down, we actually should have had Laps of Love come to our home, sit down, have a peaceful, beautiful exit, say a prayer, sing a song, tell some stories, and not have this trauma be our last memory with our sweet friend. So this is we are hoping that you can get over the resistance, that you feel about thinking about the death of this beloved friend, and try to be ahead of it. Be ahead of it. It's part of the journey. It's a beautiful part of the journey if you can wrap your head around it.
And it's a small price to pay for all the love, right? It's the last piece of the love.
It's the final gift
right?
you
And
can give your dog.
there is nothing like an old dog. Like,
No.
oh my goodness. It's like the jeans that always make your butt look good. Right? Like
Only I think the dog is more reliable than those fictional genes, but okay.
Yeah. Stop. I'm telling myself lies, Kathy. So, I mean, part of it is this dog really, really well. And this dog knows you really, really well. And neither of you are perfect. But we work, right? We're Snoopy and Charlie Brown. And I just don't think Charlie Brown would close his eyes and cover his ears and go, la, 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 that Snoopy's going to live forever. Right. And Is it hard? I will also say this is my one caveat that I would add. It's not always the oldest dog in your house.
Sure. Sure.
Right
Absolutely.
now, I have a client who is losing her second 12-year-old. The 15-year-old's doing great. The 2-year-old's doing great, but both 12-year-olds we've lost within a month. Right. So and I think that was the hardest sucker punch for her is she's really focused on that 15-year-old who can't see and hear. And I think we're past it now, but there was a moment where she panicked that she was missing something with the 12-year-olds. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you didn't. You're an amazing friend to them. You watch them all the time. Like, if I come back as a dog, I want to be your dog because you take beautiful care of your animals. You're very in tune with them. The reality is dogs are stoic.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
know I've lost not the oldest one, the second to the oldest one, or the third to the oldest one, because I was really fixated on the oldest one and the puppy, like the two I worried about the most, when it was somebody else um, that I just questioned myself for a minute. And then I
Yeah.
went, you know what? We all do the best we can.
You
It's
do the
okay.
best you can. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so
Exactly.
much for spending your precious time with us today.
Thank you so much
I
for
want to have you
having
guys on
us.
like once a quarter.
It's really
Thank you,
absolutely.
Tina.
This
Yeah.
has been great. Really, really nice to talk to you.
Well, I cannot wait. I promise, sit down and read the whole thing. The parts I have already read, I was like, I want to read all the things. And
Awesome.
I just love that this labor of love, that the two of you came together and with such a beautiful energy for all of it. Right. And Helen, well, both of you, like the person who is perpetually raising puppies for the shelter, God bless you, woman, because they are
so
so
fun.
different, right?
It's
Like
so fun.
13 Doberman puppies around one bowl, no problem. It's just the windmill. 13 Jack Russell puppies around the same bowl, death and dismemberment. It's like you learn breeds matter. They're not
Right.
all the same. Put a heat lamp on hound puppies. They will yell at you all day long and go,
Yeah.
we're fine. Turn the light off.
Yeah.
Where the Doberman puppies are like, turn the light on. We're cold. Right.
Right.
And then Helen always, I don't know that I could do what you do. I would like to think I could. But it is a beautiful gift to the world and something that you take on we all share grief with you, carrying on a lot of grief to really love dogs beautifully in the end and to give them a good death. And I love that you and I can talk about a good life and a good death, and that's what we all want. We all want a good death for ourselves and for our dogs or our cats or our chinchillas when the time comes. Nobody's pushing them in the grave, but I do have to say I'm seeing fewer people who are waiting too long.
Good. Good.
And that
Good.
I like to think that that's a maturing of our hearts, that we're starting to realize, like, okay, waiting until this dog is just a cusp of himself isn't fair. And, one day maybe there'll be a bigger conversation about that for people too, but that's a whole difficult thing to navigate. Thank you so much, both of you, for loving the world so beautifully.
Thanks for having us. It's been a delight to meet you.
Well, thank you. I try to be
Thanks,
delightful.
Tina.
I often am. If I sleep.
Thanks, Tina. Thank
So
you so much.
thank you. Good luck with the
Thanks, you
book. I
guys.
can't wait to hear what you guys dream up next.
I
And
know, right?
send an email when this is going to go out, Tina. We'll post it.
Absolutely. Happy to help. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks. All right. You too.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending part of your precious day with us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, rate, subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at yourfamilydogpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.